You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called Real Wealth, hosted by the team from the Stewart Group in Hastings. And today's our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio Trudi from the team from the Stewart Group.
Yes.
Just remind our listeners where you are and what you do.
We are based at 204 Karamu Road in Hastings, and we're financial advisors, so all things financial we'll be able to help you with.
And what's your speciality, Trudi?
My speciality is risk management.
And what does that mean?
That means, that's a really good question. What does that mean? That means all the things that you want to protect yourself against. If things happen, which you can't foresee, financially you are protected and your family is protected. It's basically a safety net of insurance.
And we all need one.
We all need a safety net. We haven't always got parents or other people to provide for us. We grow up, we're used to having that safety net of a family, and at some point in our life we kind of have to go out on our own and carry that responsibility ourselves. And insurance, I think, plays a part in that.
And you can't rely on an inheritance either. You think, oh, well, you know, the old girl's going to crack off sometime down the track. I'm going to get a whole bunch of money.
Well, and the other thing is too, people are living longer and they're spending the money.
Indeed.
And good luck to them if they want to go away and have holidays, or they might need it perhaps to pay for a home, for a care home. So you can't rely on it. You kind of need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, I think.
Enjoy your life, spend every last cent.
Absolutely. You can't take it with you.
That's right. Now, today we're going to talk about why having a financial advisor is important. People are going to say, well, look, I can look after myself.
Well, you can. It's a little bit like saying that the same, I guess, with a doctor. But there are times it's really good to have a second opinion or a little bit of advice on something, why your leg has dropped off or something, for somebody to just sort of give you a few ideas about things that maybe you can do better.
What sort of advice might a financial advisor give me?
It can range from many, many things. As I said, I specialise in risk insurance, risk plans, but we do investments. Big thing we were just talking about, retiring, superannuation, you know, preparing for that stage in your life when you're not working 24/7, it feels like, or your children are growing up. So it's just kind of having some plans in place and finding a way to reach those goals.
Absolutely. Now, what might happen? So I come along to the Stewart Group, I say, look, I want to talk to a financial advisor. I knock on the door, come in, you give me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, very good coffee as well.
Right.
Very good coffee, Ken. We'll get you in one day.
One day, Roger Fitch. And so what will happen then? Talk me through the process.
Well, then it would really depend on what the person had come in for. Often people come in with a problem. It's not necessarily, you know, you wake up and you think, I really want to get some financial advice today. It is often they're looking for a solution to an existing problem or something they foresee in happening. So you often see they'll come in and we'll just discuss it in general. We'll talk to them about their goals and aspirations and fears, perhaps, and you can actually see people start to relax, because often it's something that might have been on their mind for a little while. It's often difficult to talk about with people, money. You get couples, for example. This is quite a common thing, that couples don't agree on money, or they're different money types.
Yep.
I don't think my mother would mind me saying she's a spender, and she always believes that she'll be provided for. And my dad is the complete opposite and worries about money. So we're a really useful person, a neutral person who can sit down with couples and kind of help them plan their future.
What sort of person are you?
Oh, I'm a bit of both. I like to think I'm a planner, and I am, and then I go, I'm not perfect, please tell you. I go, I think I deserve that. So, I've got a lot to learn as well. I'm a little bit of both, yeah.
It's a funny thing, I might not be the only person that's going to say this, but maybe in a husband-wife relationship, for instance, I wouldn't have a clue how much money goes in the bank every week from my work here. I wouldn't have a clue how to make an auto payment. I come out of work because my wife does a great job of it.
And again, that's really common, and aren't you lucky?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, though?
Well, it depends. Because I was going to say it's quite nice for you, and in some ways it's probably quite nice for your wife because she's in charge. But it also means that what would happen if she was worried about money? Would she come and talk to you, or would she just manage it herself?
I think she would say, hey, look, we haven't got much money. And I often say to her, well, hey, can we afford to do what we're doing?
Yes.
But the day-to-day running of the house, not as far as I'm concerned, but I hate to say that's her job. But she does a much better job than I could do.
But what you're saying is, and it's not a man-woman thing necessarily, it's a role, because we all have roles in our relationships, and you've obviously agreed on this at some point, whether it's spoken or unspoken.
Is that an old school thing? Did your mum look after the purse when she was at home? Or?
No.
She didn't?
No,
did your dad?
She's great at earning money, and really good at spending it. But she would be the same boat as you, actually. She would have no idea how to do online banking or how to pay bills or anything like that if anything happened to my dad, which is why she's lucky she's got us, because she doesn't need to learn.
Indeed. Although it's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea at all, or have somebody to help you,
Okay, so we come along, we digressed a bit there, so we come along, we had a bit of a chinwag.
Yes.
So what sort of information am I going to need to tell my advisor? It's like going to the doctor, say, look, come on, be truthful, tell us everything.
Well, I think the thing is to be as open as you can, depending on your personality type. You want to develop a bit of a rapport with your advisor, and it might not be the first advisor that you meet, that you click with, so you might need to go to a couple, but typically they will want to know financially your position. And so that's not something that a lot of us are used to talking about. You know, how much you earn, how much you spend, what your mortgage is, what your debt is. Sometimes people are quite embarrassed to talk about it. And that is one of the wonderful things in the job that I do is there is no shame involved. You can only start from where you are. This is true of anything in life. Start from where you are and go forward from there. And that's the big thing, is just because you might have made a few mistakes, learning mistakes perhaps in the past, doesn't mean you can't turn it around in the future.
Financial advisor and budget counsellor, are they the same thing? Is that going to happen when I come and see you?
Well, it's my life's calling.
That's right.
It's personal. It's as personal as you're comfortable as being, and depends on what advisor you're sort of aligned with. But it is personal when you're talking about money, and you are vulnerable, and that's why you want to make sure you're talking to somebody that you feel comfortable with and you trust.
Do you make the hard call? I mean, if someone's coming in to see you and they're bearing their soul and say, look, I go and buy a coffee every single day and it costs me $5, and that's $25, and I buy a packet of smokes a day, that's $30 a day.
Yeah.
Would you be upfront saying, well, that needs to stop?
You can point out how much they would save and how quicker they would get to where they wanted to be.
Which is a good way of saying stop.
And often that is all people need. And it sounds really simple, but we have tools, we have calculators, really cool things where I'm not a technological person, so I'm doing things now with my fingers, but you can put in all sorts of different scenarios and it will tell people how quickly they're going to achieve their goals. And we have people come in and they say, all right, I want to retire at this age. You plug it all in and you go, well, okay, if you retire at this age, this is how much money you're going to get. And people go, actually, I think I'll work a little bit longer. And it's great.
Well, that's a great point that you raised there, because, even as I was growing up paying off my mortgage, if someone said, look, if you paid another $20 a week, then you're going to save $25,000, but life gets in the way of that sort of stuff.
Absolutely, and that's where a financial advisor is great. I liken it to, and I've never had one myself, but I'd love one, a personal trainer. It's somebody who kind of keeps you accountable and keeps you on track when you fancy something sweet or you can't be bothered getting off the couch, and it just reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. Is
that a problem though? You fancy something sweet, your personal trainer's looking over your shoulder like that angel and saying you can't have that, but all of a sudden that devil takes us and says, I'm having it, and boy, you end up with 5 donuts and you're fat as a horse later on.
I think you're giving us a little bit away about yourself there, Ken.
Right.
You don't look like you eat 5 donuts in a row.
But is that the problem, that if you constrain yourself so much with your finances that all of a sudden you think, got to have a bit of a spend
You've
up.
got to keep it real. We're human beings.
Yes.
We're perfect, all of us. Not even financial advisors make the odd splurge. But you want to factor it in. So maybe you say to yourself, okay, I have a bit of mad money and this is how much I'm allowed to go crazy with every week.
Yeah. No, we've spoken about it many times over the past few months that the future is so important financially speaking for us. And you will always say you need to plan for your future. But as I've said to you many times, life gets in the way of that. And you think, yeah, that's great. I'm going to put $100 a week away and I've got my superannuation over there. I've got all my insurances. But then your car breaks down, or your mortgage goes up, or someone dies and you've got to bury them all. Or, there's 100 things happening.
This is where it's great to have like an emergency fund. And it has to be, you have to be able to afford, obviously, to do that, but a little pot of money put aside, it makes such a difference when something happens. My sister was telling me the story the other day. Her partner had to have some tooth work done, and she said what a wonderful feeling it was just to go and get it done.
Yeah.
I've got the money.
Fantastic.
Whereas if you don't have it, it's scary, it's stressful, you leave it, it becomes a bigger problem. So this is where the planning comes in. It doesn't mean life can't be fun.
No. I listened to an article on another radio station a couple of weeks back, and they were reporting on someone living in Auckland who was getting $157,000 a year, and they weren't managing. They were the working poor. And that's a sort of a term that you hear a lot now, the working poor, that you think, okay, I'm getting 50 grand, 60 grand, 100 grand a year, but you can't live. What do you say to someone who's getting 150 grand a year? Are you saying, are you joking?
Oh, no, I can well imagine that. I'm really grateful I live in Hawke's Bay and not in Auckland. But I imagine the problem is similar here, just different numbers. It's tricky, and I think there's a lot of things that I know I work with somebody who feels very strongly about how the middle kind of class, middle tier people are taxed so highly, and I would hope that that's something that's looked at so that it can actually change this. Because, you've got people there going out working hard.
Yeah.
And still can't afford the basics. It's not even the crazy shoes or anything like
that's
that.
Right. That's highly unlikely under this government, I might add. But that's an important thing also. I was talking to Stuart Nash. We talk to politicians every day on Radio Kidnappers. They say, well, we gave this to the old people so they could get warm. However, petrol's gone up to $2.20 a litre. Power's gone up. Food's gone up. All of a sudden, a little bit they gave you. How do you plan for that?
This is life, isn't it?
Yep.
You are so right. You cannot plan for everything. You can try your best. You can put some money aside, but things will always happen. But at least you have got some insurance. Is better than nothing. It might not take all the sting out of the tail, but it gives you, I think, a little bit of breathing space to kind of consider your options going forward.
I think people listening to this program might think that this program is called Real Wealth. And we're talking about coming to see financial advisors at the Stewart Group, which sounds pretty la-di-da. I know you guys are lovely, but do you think there's a thought out there that services like your own are really only for well-heeled people, for want of a better word? But you're not, are you? You're for everyone.
Well, we are for everyone. I mean, the insurance that I deal with, all different types of people, and they're all concerned about the same thing, and it's generally protecting their company. So they've obviously, if the company goes bust, there's a lot of staff employed, so they want to protect the company or protecting their family. I mean, they're all really simple things to a smaller or bigger degree, and they're prepared to pay some premiums to know that they've got peace of mind if anything is to happen, them or their families or their businesses are looked after.
So someone who's earning $40,000 a year, which might not seem a lot to some people, we can certainly come along, see you and say, look, we want some guidance.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and as I said, we also look after KiwiSaver as well. So you don't have to have oodles of money in the bank. We can help you with all sorts of different things.
Now, you're a person who's good at setting goals. Why should we set goals?
It really focuses your mind on what you want, and then it's funny how you figure out how to get there. One of my goals, it's not a financial goal, was to learn to play the ukulele. Now, the Napier Academy, and this had been in my mind, I'd written it down, and lo and behold, a class started, a 6 weeks class. So this is a really small example, but if you decide you want to pay off your mortgage by the time you're 60, so then you figure out how to do that. And so you might stop buying your $5 cups of coffee every day, and all of a sudden you're paying off your mortgage 5-10 years earlier. It's a wonderful feeling.
I bet it is.
It's a wonderful, and it's not just about the money, it's also just that personal satisfaction, and it makes you feel really good about yourself.
How's the ukulele going?
Good, third lesson tonight.
Now, the other thing about those goals that you just talked about, and a bit like your personal trainer, it's important that we then keep coming back to see our financial advisor to keep us on track, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's like anything. You think, oh, I've done it, now I can forget about it. There's always little tweaks involved. If you've maybe done the 5 donuts in a row, we can put on a little different regime just to get things back in line.
Now, you mentioned earlier, let's use your mum and dad as an example. Your mum loved spending money, your dad didn't like spending money. How do those people get on in real life?
They
with
argue.
a financial plan.
They argue. It actually is really common. Having a third person sit down and have a conversation in a neutral space works really, really well. And seeing that they're not alone, that neither one is bad. It's just kind of more about finding a compromise, and letting one go a little bit crazy in a small way is better than letting it sort of build up and they go really, really mad.
What about that saying, a leopard never changes its spots?
I think that's probably true in some ways.
So it does work. So, I mean, you can have a spendthrift and a...
Yeah. Well, because then you give that person, this is where goals are good. If somebody understands why they're not able to go out and get their nails done or splurge on this, because they are maybe going to have a holiday at the end of it, or they're going to be debt-free, it makes a lot more sense. Whereas if you just feel like you're being deprived, then you just feel sad.
Exactly. There you go on your big splurge. Just about running out of time, I just wonder if you wouldn't mind recapping. So if you had to pick out the 3 most relevant points of what we've spoken about this day, what would they be?
3 most relevant points are get a goal, get a plan in place. Financial advisor, you can come and see us. It's not just for the mega rich. And we will help you figure out the best way to get what you want.
Just remind our listeners, Trudi, if we want to come and see you for any advice, where is the Stewart Group?
Our Stewart Group is 204 Karamu Road in Hastings.
What's the phone number?
06 878 8961.
Can we just bowl in, or do you have to make an appointment?
It's probably better if you make an appointment. That way you're not having to hang around, and just ring up and say, basically, I need help.
I do. Good on you, Trudi. As always, our pleasure. You look after yourself. We'll talk at the same time, same place next time.
Thank you very much, Ken.